We can send you 50 different versions of it.
Yeah, exactly. Then
so what do we get? We get like a couple shots with you guys a year, so everybody rolls in?
Every day.
Do we get you during the season too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We rotate.
Me and Coach Madison will rotate?
You're going to love that.
You'll rotate.
That'd be fun. Can I do the wins?
Will there be any losses? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I was saying. I can do them all.
I want to ask you about Damon Arnett, because he's a guy that last year struggled at times, and you even said at the Rose Bowl he thought he was leaning toward going pro, and I think he probably wisely decided not to. What did you see from him in the spring? What have you seen about any kind of change in physically, mentally, whatever?
It's hard to see a change, right? Because I really was never around him. I watched his film. I studied his film right as I was getting ready to take the job, and I saw a very talented player. Plays hard, has a tremendous ability, can cover, tough, physical. And then I saw the same things on the field. I saw a guy who loves football, a guy who works hard, a guy who gave it his all every single day, a guy who actually seemed like he really enjoyed being out there, played with confidence, and has a ton of ability. There's things we need to work on, just like everybody else, but like I said I think I said to you guys earlier, like he's given everything he's had and he hasn't been any issue. So if I had never heard anything about him and you guys had mentioned, I'd be like, what are you guys talking about? Like, so that's how I came in. I wanted to give everybody a clean slate, and I did that. And until he proves otherwise, I'm not gonna think about it.
Did you watch a lot of last year's tape?
I did.
And
yeah.
What were your impressions of that?
I think he's a really good player. Just like everybody else, just like guys that I've coached, you watch film, you want to clean up some things, and hopefully we can improve and get him playing at the highest level that he can.
Jeff, I know it's been about 6 weeks since that camp ended. I don't know if that feels like too long ago to even talk about, but where did you see the biggest improvement from your unit from the start of March to the end of that?
From the spring ball?
Yeah, when you got
confidence. I think if you look, I think that I wanted them to play confident. I wanted them to have fun. We got to work hard, right? We do, and they're gonna work hard. And we had to get better fundamentally, and I think we did. Schematically, they had to learn what we were doing. We didn't do a lot. We want to walk before we can run, but then I wanted them to play together, to be confident, and have fun doing it. And towards the end, you saw that. And I think if you ask some of the guys, they'll tell you that. I mean, it's still a game, and those guys got to have fun. And when they're doing that, with the technique, with the ability, and they do that together, we're going to be pretty good.
When you came in and looked at, I know you wanted to have a clean slate and weren't worried so much about last year, and this program is recruited at the highest level in the secondary. What you have to work with, you'd seem like you'd be able to get some results right away. I think people wondered a year ago, you have 4- and 5-star recruits and we're struggling. What did you make of those guys when you got in there and trying to jive that with what you saw physically and then how the results maybe didn't match up?
Yeah, I try not to think like that, right? Because then I'm kind of judging somebody for what they had done without knowing what they were told to do. And again, I'm not knocking anything that happens because I know those were really good coaches. So I gave guys a clean slate. We started the workouts, the mat drills, then we got to some fundamental drills, then we got to spring football. So I kind of went from there, and very excited. They've done a great job recruiting here. They have. And whether it's a 4-star, 5-star, 3-star, they've got good players. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm excited to coach those guys. I can't wait for training camp. You know, I'm excited to go on vacation too, but for my wife's sake, but I can't wait for training camp. Like I can't get enough of it right now.
Is Jordan able to do everything now, or are you still waiting until training camp?
Not everything. He's running forward a little bit. He's doing some things half speed, but he looks good doing it. Great kid. Awesome. You guys probably know him better than I do right now, but from meeting with him, but what a superhuman being who does so much more than just play football.
Once he's healthy, if you guys had a game, who would be the starting safety on the other side? Do you think you guys might rotate a little bit, or be determined?
That's to be determined. Yeah. You know, I think I'd like to stay pretty consistent with everything that I talk to you guys about, so it's real. I think we're going to play the 11 best players and figure it out from there, and I think that's what training camp will be for. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, yeah, and who are some guys that are in the mix? I'm sure, like Isaiah Pryor.
I mean, all those guys are in the mix. I mean, I mean that. That's just not like media talk. I mean, look at the skill that we have there. Go out and compete for all those guys. Go out and play ball, and then whoever has the best training camp, we as coaches have to decide where to put them, and we have to get them on the field. And I'm going to be consistent with that, and that's how I talk to the players, and that's how I'll be honest with you guys. And then that's what we have to do. That's our jobs.
As you look back on the spring, who made the biggest rise, though, in that back area from beginning of spring to the end?
That's tough to say. Good question. I'm not evading or avoiding you.
Yeah.
But that's just hard. That's hard to answer that one.
Well, you know, Justin Went was almost given up on middle of the season last year, yet he makes a couple of plays.
If you look at a guy like Went, not to say like he made the biggest improvement, because he didn't even practice that much, right?
Right.
And then he gets into the spring game and he starts making all those plays. So yeah, that really excites you. But we didn't get like a whole body of work with him.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what he can do. I mean, even a guy like Pryor, I didn't see him do too much, and I mean, he showed up, right?
Yeah.
Proctor, same type of deal.
I was going to say about Proctor.
Proctor didn't have much film at all that I got to see, and you know, so he did some good stuff. Like you guys can see, I'm excited talking about some of those guys. Like I'm really excited to see what they can do in training camp. What can they do when things get hard and they're tired and things get going fast?
And, did you see Okuda though make some? I mean, like you said, you spent a lot of time looking at last year, but
if you want to get into like specifics, I think Okuda at the line of scrimmage right now is a different player. He's got to learn to win at the line of scrimmage, and maybe I'm getting too detailed, but that's the truth. Like, really talented guy. To me, he's got a ton of tools. His skill set at the line of scrimmage with the ability to get his hands on people, that's the one thing I told him we needed to work on, and I think he did that. And I think if you actually turn on the tape, you'll see he still needs work at it. He does, and it's going to take time, but I think he got better at that.
And Sean Wade, what do you expect his role? I know he can play all over the secondary. What do you expect his role will be?
Well, I don't want to make it too hard. I don't want to make him have to play this, and this. I think, to me, when you look at guys and you see us schematically, you can call a position whatever you want. I'm training the corners to, cover. I'm training them to play a third. I'm training them to play quarters. So all that going into it, I'm trying to teach him so we can plug him and play him where we need him. I think he can play corner. He can play inside. I haven't seen him play much deep safety, and I didn't want to do that to him in the spring. But he's a talented guy.
Coach, how much of it, in talking to your kids, they said that things have simplified the defense, and they feel like they can play faster because of that. Can you talk about what they're talking about? I guess from a simplified standpoint.
Yeah. Again, I'm not really totally sure what they were used to, but the thing that we tried to do was we want to let those guys play really fast. So we tried to not make it very complicated. We want them to understand. Now, we can't be so simple where people are going to be able to scheme us up, but we tried to make it as easy as we could, where we could line up, kind of teach it part to whole, so we could plug in, play different things, and say, hey, this technique goes here, this technique goes here, depending on what coverage we're in. But that's probably what they mean by that. They're able to line up and play fast. Without getting really detailed into the scheme, it's probably a hard question for me to answer. You'd probably be better off asking them, because obviously they've been a part of different schemes. And then I think that's a credit to our coaching staff, because I think they've taken a scheme that I think will be effective, and I think they've been able to teach it in a very simple way.
How much of it is that
if I thought you could cover a tight end really well,
I can't, but
say you could, right? Because you look like you could. So if I thought you could cover a tight end really good, I could plug you in on a call and have you cover the tight end and give you a few snaps, and nice job. You might get an interception, return for a touchdown, help us win the game. So you want guys to feel that way,
You were asked about all the corners.
How many more does he get?
Just
okay, one more, and then.
No, I want to ask about Marcus Williamson, because he didn't come up with the corners. He hadn't really asked about the spring. Just kind of wanted to know what his status was, where he's at right now.
He looked good running today. He's been injured, as you know, so I didn't really get a really good chance to see him. I'm excited to. I think everybody's kind of excited to, right? Because he's been injured quite a bit. So I'm really hoping he can stay healthy, and I think that will help us out. So I think when we come in training camp, ask me that question again, and I hope we're having some really good answers.
Trent?
I'm good. You can go ahead.
He's going to be the guy that covers tight ends.
Transfer portal is mainly a quarterback thing at this point. Are you worried about it spreading? And what are your thoughts on the whole thing? I know that's a lot more positions.
That's a good question, because when I got here, I didn't even know a transfer portal existed.
Right.
I had no idea. It wasn't like that 8 years ago.
Right.
So I try not to think about it. You try to coach everybody as hard as you can. You try to be fair to everybody the best that you can. You can't treat them all the same. You try to be there for them. Hopefully you have a great relationship, and you try not to think about it, because I'm not going to coach scared or, be afraid to coach hard,
right,
and then say, oh no, I coached you too hard today and you're So I don't know. That's something that you got to kind of see how it goes, right? I think we'll have a better feel for it as we get going and happens. But when did they even? I mean, how long has this been going on for?
Just last year.
So we'll see how it goes.
With your NFL, with the NFL thing though, it's like free agency.
It is like free agency,
right? I mean,
but you can't you're under contract. You can't just walk out.
Yeah, the NFL guys have 4 or 5 year contracts.
So
it's a players' rights issue is really what it gets into, which it gets dicey.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know where you stand on that whole thing. Having been in the NFL,
I got too much to think about right now to start thinking about that stuff. I might have to think about that while I'm on vacation this summer.
Where are you going?
We were going to go to Florida. I'm going to go see some of my family in New Jersey, and then I'll be here. I need to be here a little bit, kind of see what Columbus is all about, and hang out with my family.
Cool.
You've been very patient.
Thank you. I try. For Ryan to announce today that he's a part of a mental health charity for children and adolescents, as a guy who has his hands on a lot of young people and wants to see them do well, what does that mean to you that that's where he's planting his flag, where he's investing his time and money, and the fact he brought up, I couldn't tell if you guys had 4 mental health professionals working with the team, or he said
2 and 2. I think.
Was it 2 and 2?
I think that's right. Yep.
Okay.
I think it's awesome, and I think you're right. I mean, we work with young people every single day, and it is such an issue right now, not just in our country, but in the whole world, right? I mean, we all see what's happening, so for him to pick that and attack that, I commend him and have so much respect for him and his wife for starting that. But that's one of the reasons, too, that you kind of get excited about coming back to coaching college football, because you are dealing with younger people that maybe you can help them more than a 30-year-old, help them grow, help them mature, help them develop. So that is one of the differences, right? I mean, I'm not just there for these guys as a coach in a lot of respect. I'm there to be more than that because they are young. So I think that's great that Ryan and Nina did that.
Is there, how can I put this, some bravery associated with that? Because there is a stigma around mental health. I mean, he could have made his big push pediatric cancer or puppies for veterans or unicorns and rainbows, but he's attacking an issue where there is still a little stigma attached.
Sure.
Do you see some bravery in him?
But I mean, I think you guys have gotten to know Ryan. That's him, right? I think Ryan is a guy who is going to do what he feels is best for people, for himself, for the team, for his family. And I don't think he's going to worry about what anyone else thinks. And I think that you guys have interviewed him and dealt with him. That's what makes him such an unbelievable person. And that's what is going to make him such an unbelievable head coach. I mean, I think Ryan's going to do the right thing regardless of what other people think. And that's very hard to do nowadays, especially in his position. So I think everybody needs to respect him for that and commend him for that, because I think it's awesome.
Have you seen a culture shift in college? I mean, you've been around college and pro. I've got buddies who say there's just more and more kids going into therapy, going into counseling. Have you?
I haven't been here enough to see it yet.
Well, right.
So,
I mean,
no, there's not enough for me to even comment on that. I just don't know. And that, again, that's the truth. I'm not.
Right.
Do you think that the mental health issue is even something that's a little extra important for football because it can get intertwined with the head injuries, and especially with guys later in life? Because sometimes people will have mental health issues, they don't know what's caused it, but whatever caused it, it's something that's got to be dealt with.
That's a discussion for another day. That's a tough one. We can talk about that another time. That's one I need to think about also. Again, not avoiding it, but just being honest with you.
That's a pay grade issue.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pediatric cancer and pets for vets, by the way, are important too.
Go ahead.
I heard you talking a little bit about recruiting earlier. I don't know if you were asked this specifically.
That's all right.
Things seem to be rolling a little bit in terms of getting commits offensively. You guys have one in 2020 defensively. Given the time of year, the fact that you had so much staff turnover, does that make sense? Is that okay, or are you guys feel like maybe behind a little bit?
I don't feel like we're behind. I mean, personally, we had a little bit of a later start since some of these guys were getting recruited in September, and I'm working to play against the Rams in September. Yeah. So, but that's okay. I mean, I think the staff, the defensive guys, and even the offensive guys helping. That's the cool thing. It's not like it's just us defensive guys recruiting defensive guys. I think everyone's doing a really good job. I mean, we got some pretty good guys coming in for a visit, and we'll swing away. But I'm not concerned. It's Ohio State. We'll be okay.
How do you evaluate guys when you're out there at this time of year? What are you looking for?
On the film? Just watch their film, see if they fit in our system. You know? You get to watch a lot of camp tape now, too, which is cool. So you just watch guys, see how they fit, see how they play, and then you get to know them and see if they're Buckeye-type guys, you know? Which is very important. This is a special place. We're not just going to bring in anybody.
How do you looking for physically? System to those guys? There's not this staff is totally new. There's not past evidence on the field of what you all want to do defensively, at least as a collective of coaches.
We talked about it. We talked about it as a staff, with recruiting, with our defensive staff, so offensive staff, so everybody's on the same page.
No, I mean, how do you convey that to guys who you're trying to get to come here when they ask, like, well, like, what do you guys do? It's like they don't have visuals of guys in Ohio State uniforms really doing what you want to do defensively.
Right. You can talk about the scheme. You can get up on the board and draw it. You can show them clips. I can show them some of my NFL stuff that we did, you know, that we're going to, you know, that type of stuff. So they're not very hard. Yeah, okay. That's not a bad question, though.
No, it makes sense.
There's plenty of ways.
It resonates with kids when you say, here's Richard Sherman doing it. You could do what Richard Sherman does.
I think it resonates a little bit. Don't you?
I think so.
I mean, it would resonate to me if I was a young player.
You're talking about the transfer portal and that kind of stuff. 3 years, all these defensive backs were recruited by Kerry Coombs.
Yeah.
And then Taylor Johnson was here. And then you.
Yeah.
Folks, have you just watched the head spin from all the transition?
Say it again?
Have their heads just been spinning from the transition?
I don't think so.
I mean, most of them are pretty tough kids. They understand what they're in.
They understand, yeah. They're excited right now.